Hello everyone, so my sport is water polo. In water polo, there are quite a few movements going on during the match like push, pull, hinge, rotation, trunk stability, and the egg beater motion. The pushing motion is used in water polo when the player has the ball and is pushing it through the water in front of them. They also are pushing the ball away from their opponents. Water polo athletes sometimes will push their opponents out of their way, but at the risk of receiving a foul and giving the opposing team a penalty shot. When it comes to pulling, water polo athletes utilize the pull movement to help propel themselves when they are swimming their front crawl. Hinge and rotation movements happen a lot in water polo, mostly while they are throwing the ball. Another important pattern utilized in water polo is the activation of the trunk/core, which helps the athletes stabilize themselves in the water for the duration of the match. Lastly, water polo players utilize a unique form of treading water called egg beater, which is where you alternate single-legged breaststroke kicks. This allows water polo players to continue to stay stable in the water because there is no break in between kicks, keeping them stable and minimizing their swaying in the water. Water polo athletes activate multiple muscle groups throughout the duration of their matches. For example, when water polo players are throwing the ball, they are activating the anterior deltoid and pectoralis major, which work concentrically at the glenohumeral joint. There is also activation of the traps, which helps to reduce upper rotation of the scapula. The abdominal muscles will also activate to help with rotation and stabilization. Also, the lats will help with the acceleration phase of the throw. Lastly, there are a lot of lower body muscles being utilized in throw and throughout the entire match since they have to keep themselves afloat. These muscles include the glutes, quads, hamstrings, and calf muscles. Lower body muscles are also utilized in propelling the water polo athletes out of the water, especially the goalie. Some other muscles that are used during water polo include the triceps and biceps, which along with the lats allow the athletes to accelerate through the pulling phase in their front crawl, which helps them propel themselves through the water towards the ball or to the goal. The main energy system used in water polo are the energy systems that are part of the anaerobic pathway. Water polo athletes will mainly use the ATP-PCR energy system because water polo athletes are only using short bouts of speed to swim 5 to 25 meters at a time throughout the match. So for the exercises, I decided to choose power clean, squat, bench press, and deadlift as my core exercises. For each exercise, we will be utilizing different variations in our final prescription. For example, for the squat, we will have a power variation instead of just a full-on strength variation. For the power variation of the squat, we will be utilizing smaller loads at 50 or less than 50% of our 1 rep max. This will allow us to focus more on exploding during the concentric phase of the squat into a jump. This will allow us to work on getting some plyometrics into our resistance training, which is important for water polo athletes. Overall, our exercises will mainly be training power and strength. However, most of the exercises focus mainly on the strength aspect. We can always still work on power and those exercises by being explosive in our movements. So these are the order of our athletic tests. For the first athletic test, we chose it first because it is a non-fatiguing test, and it is the anthropometric measurements. We chose this because they are important to take because it allows us to figure out if our athletes have any risk for illnesses or injuries. Then their measurements are a good thing to test again later to help see progress in the athletes. Overall, anthropometric measurements usually include height, weight, sitting height, arm span, hand span, and body fat using skin fold measurements. Our second test is the vertical jump test. For the vertical jump test, we are going to use we are going to use it because it helps us determine the power output of an athlete while also allowing us to see how explosive they can be. These are important factors in water polo because water polo athletes need to be able to have enough power to explode out of the water at any given time. We can use this test to also help prescribe exercises because we can utilize the same explosive power into our resistance exercises. For example, we stated before that we could do a squat variation where we use low weight around 50% or lower of our 1 rep max and focus more on exploding into a jump during the concentric phase of the squat. So for the procedure, you can do it, there's 2 different ways you can do it. You can either do it on land or in the water. For the in-water vertical jump test, we will need to have a modified vertec, or in one study done by Platano, they used a board that had a centimeter scale on it. The board was placed perpendicular to the pool surface and was placed 120 centimeters above the surface of the pool to make it so it wouldn't hinder the athlete's movement. For the actual test, the jump height measurement device needs to be set up beside the pool at a location where the athletes are unable to touch the bottom of the pool. The measuring device needs to be calibrated so that it measures the height reached above the water level. During the test, the athletes will start from treading water, and then the athlete will need to push up and reach up as high as they can above the water. If using a modified vertec, the athlete needs to hit the veins so that they move aside. Several attempts should be allowed with adequate rest between each attempt. To calculate relative jump height, we will have to measure the upper body length from the hip to the tip of the finger while the arm is fully reaching overhead. So for our next test, it is the 1 rep max power clean. We are doing the 1 rep max power clean test because it measures power, and we want to be able to prescribe 1 rep max based percentages for the power clean in our exercise prescription, because the power clean is a great exercise to help improve our overall power, which is important for water polo athletes. The next test is the 1 rep max bench test. The 1 rep max bench press allows us to measure the maximum strength in our upper body region, mainly the muscles located in the chest. Doing this test will allow us to better utilize the bench press as an exercise in our prescription so that we can help work the upper body muscles in our water polo athletes. It's important to work the upper body in water polo because it allows them to develop stronger pulls in their front crawl stroke, allowing them to get to the ball faster. Also, it allows them to develop a stronger throw. The next test is the 1 rep max squat. We will do the 1 rep max squat test because it tests the maximum strength in the legs of our athletes, which is crucial in water polo because they need to have a good amount of strength to be able to kick hard enough to get out of the water to throw the ball or block it. Also, the more leg strength they have, the more powerful the kicks are in the water, allowing them to get the ball faster than their opponents. The last test is the 1 rep max deadlift. Doing the 1 rep max deadlift test is important because it allows us to know what our athlete's 1 rep max is in deadlift and helps us to create better workout loads. Overall, we decided to do the 1 rep max deadlift test because we want to use the deadlift as one of our core exercises, since it works on increasing core/trunk strength and stability, and also helps improve posture. These are all important in water polo because water polo players need to have good trunk stability in their sport so that they can keep themselves stable throughout their match. The deadlift is also a good exercise to utilize because it engages multiple muscles in the lower body and the core, which overall helps keep a good posture. This is my reference page. Thank you for watching.